What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Broker CCG. Today we have a Craniamon Deck Profile, so let's get right into it. For the Digi-Egg, I'm going to go ahead and run Tumblemon from BT9. It has the ESS, your opponent's turn. While this Digimon has blocker, it gets 1000 DP. So this does make your Gyromon, your Craniamons, 1000 DP bigger. So your BT13 Craniamon is going to be 14,000, and then your BT3 Craniamon is going to be 13,000, making it really hard for your opponent to swing over them. So that's why I run this at 4. Now onto the rookies. I'm going to go ahead and run 4 of the Toy Agumons from BT2. It has the inheritable effect of reboot. So your Craniamons are not useful at all to you unless they are unsuspended. So being able to unsuspend them during your opponent's unsuspend phase is very useful. That's why we run this at 4. You really want to see one of your Digimon that give your Craniamon reboot. The next rookie that we run is Tsunerizumon, the promo. It has the main effect of your turn. All of your black Digimon with 13,000 TP or more gain piercing. So this does allow your BT13 Craniamon to swing into your opponent's Digimon and check a security, since it is going to hit 13,000 DP. And then also the ESS, your turn while this Digimon is black and has 13,000 DP or more, this Digimon gains security attack +1. So gaining that extra aggression does come in really, really useful, because for the majority of the time, this deck really struggles with taking out large amounts of your opponent's security. It's usually 1 by 1 by 1. So having that extra check makes it more aggressive, allowing you to finish the game much faster. On to our next rookie, we run Gatsumon from BT13. It is a blocker. And then on deletion, if it's your opponent's turn, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 black card among them to your hand, place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So this does allow you to add a Tamer option or Digimon card. So very, very useful for stopping your opponent from taking out another security and also finding some of your missing pieces. So that's why I run this at 3. And for the last rookie, I'm going to go ahead and run Chikurimon from BT6. It has the security effect. At the end of the battle, trigger D-Digivolve 1 on one of your opponent's Digimon. So you can change this out for your floodgates, the Chumon or the other Chikurimon. I just run this and I found it to be really useful in my testing. But again, this is definitely some sort of filler that you can change out into anything else. Now onto the level 4s. I'm going to go ahead and run 4 of the Gladiamons from BT13. It has jamming and then the inheritable reboot. So jamming is very useful for getting those early pot shots in, whittling down your opponent 1 security at a time, and then also not being afraid to lose it from one of your opponent's security Digimon. And then the reboot, as mentioned before, really helps your Craniamon be useful and be unsuspended during your opponent's turn. So that's why I run it at 4. You definitely want to have reboot for your Craniamons. Onto the next level 4, I run 3 of the Mercurymon. They are a hybrid, and then they Digivolve 0 from Sephirothmon. And then as all hybrids, you may Digivolve this card from your hand onto one of your black Tamers as if the Tamer is a level 3 black Digimon. Then it has the on-play and when Digivolving effect. Until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon gains blocker. So you can't give it to itself, and you also can give it to one of your other Digimon, so very useful for getting another blocker on the field, making it harder for your opponent to take more of your security out. And also great for finishing out the game, since it only Digivolves for a cost of 2. On to the next one, another hybrid, level 4, Sephirothmon. It Digivolves 1 from Mercurymon, so you really can cycle between the 2 and get a lot of draw, or just proccing off the effects to really mess up your opponent. So as the when Digivolving effect, until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains. Starting your main phase, this Digimon attacks. So especially if you have a Digimon out on the field that has blocker, you Digivolve into this, make one of your opponent's Digimon attack at the start of main phase. They're going to go ahead and swing, so not have a chance to Digivolve into a higher, tougher Digimon with more DP. So they're going to swing into your other Digimon, the other Digimon is going to block and delete them. So great for board control, and then very similar to Laplace's Demon, which is pretty much the same effect. So very useful to see, and great since it's hybrid, being able to finish out games as well. Then for the level 5s, I go ahead and run 4 of the Gyromons from BT13. It is a blocker and an ESS, opponent's turn once per turn. When one of your Digimon becomes suspended, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So this is when this Digimon blocks one of your opponent's Digimon. So either when you force them to swing with something, or if you use an effect that actually forces them to swing, you're going to be able to block the attack and then trash one of your opponent's security cards. So this comes in really useful since you do tend to not attack all the time. So being able to trash a security card, also not allowing your opponent to activate any of the security effects they may see in those trash cards, is great. So that's why we run it at 4. Definitely a useful card to run in this deck. The next Digimon level 5 that we run is Gigadramon from BT11. It has jamming and reboot, just like Gladiamon, so same reason why we run this. You definitely want to see reboot for your Craniamon, and also having jamming, being able to put in some extra pot shots in the beginning, comes in useful for extra aggression. Then the last level 5 that we run is Metal Tyrannomon from BT11. It has the when Digivolving effect and on-play effect. For each green or black tamer you have in play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then one of your opponent's suspended Digimon can unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase. So this is super useful for stunning your opponent's board, at least one of their stacks. And then also, if you do have multiple tamers on the field, and if you do have enough memory to Digivolve into this and then keep it your turn, you can then swing into those Digimon, really controlling the board. But then more importantly, it has the ESS all turns once per turn. When this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So this is either when you are blocking or when you are swinging into your opponent's Digimon on your turn. So very useful, similar to Gyromon. And again, trashing your opponent's security star cards is always going to be better than doing an actual security check with your Digimon. So that's why I run it too. You definitely can drop the Gigadramons and run 4 Metal Tyrannomons. I just like the Gigadramons at 2 and 2. Now onto the main level 6, BT13 Craniamon. It's a blocker. It has the effect on play when Digivolving. Until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. So nothing can touch this from your opponent's Digimon, but it can be affected by your option cards. So do keep that in mind for any removal option cards your opponent may play. And then the end of your opponent's turn, choose one of your opponent's Digimon. Your opponent attacks with the chosen Digimon. So this is incredibly good for controlling your opponent's board. So if they don't play the Digimon that turn, that Digimon is going to end up swinging. So do keep in mind there is still summoning sickness, so they can't just play out a Digimon and then you force that Digimon to swing. This only forces Digimon that were either on the board prior, or if it's a hybrid, something like that. So, but still really useful, really good card. And it is 13,000 DP, and with the Tumblemon going to reach 14,000 DP, which is larger than most, if not all, of the level 6s that you're going to be facing. So main boss, you definitely want to run that at 4. And finally, I do run one of the Craniamon at BT3. It is a blocker, and in all turns, your Digimon with blocker can be deleted by your opponent's effects. So this does count both option cards and Digimon effects. So very useful if you have another Digimon, another blocker on the field, whether it be the Craniamon, the Gutsumon, or the Gyromon. And I decided to run 1 because just running 4 level 6s really makes the consistency go down in the deck. So you definitely can bump this up to 2, or just take this out at all by like having 5 level 6s to go into. And then finally, the level 7s. I run 2 Death Xmon from BT9. When you would play this card, reduce its memory cost by 3 for each Digimon and Tamer your opponent has in play. And then on play, when Digivolving, de-Digivolve 1 on all of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. And then end of your opponent's turn, once per turn, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. So if you do end up facing a really wide board, Craniamon can only do so much. So that's why I end up running Death Xmon. It's not too much of an issue in this current meta, so this can be swapped out for any other level 6s or level 7s, or even some lower levels that you see fit. I just like running it in case I do run into that wide board. And this does digivolve on top of your Craniamon 4/6, which isn't horrible, a pretty standard cost for level 7s. But it can be played out relatively cheap if your opponent has a lot of tamers on the field or a lot of Digimon. Now, speaking of tamers, I'm gonna go ahead and run 2 of the ties from BT2. Start of your turn, if you have 2 memory or less, set your memory to 3, and then opponent's turn, all of your black Digimon get 1000 DP. So on top of the Tumblemon, your Craniamons are gonna reach 14,000 and 15,000 respectively. So this does come in very handy, making it hard for even some of your opponent's level 7s to swing over your Craniamon. And also these are other ride targets for your hybrids, since we do end up running 6 hybrids. And being a memory tamer, very, very useful. And then the last tamers that we run are 2 of the ties from the starter deck. Opponent's turn, when you use blocker to suspend one of your Digimon, you may suspend this tamer to unsuspend one of your Digimon. So if you do have a Craniamon on the field, you end up blocking with it, you can suspend this to unsuspend it. So very useful for making, being able to block multiple attacks with your large Craniamon. And again, this is a very cheap target for your hybrids to digivolve on top of. You can bump this up to 3. I would not bump this down any less than 2. This is a very useful card in this deck, being able to block multiple times with a single blocker. Then onto your option cards, I run 2 of the Waltz End from BT13. It has the main effect until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon gains opponent's turn. When this Digimon becomes suspended, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost less than or equal to this Digimon's. And opponent's turn, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's option cards. So this works really well with your Craniamon. Since your Craniamon is not affected by your opponent's Digimon, this allows it to be not affected by your opponent's option card. So this covers all bases. And then also, your Craniamon is going to force one of your opponent's Digimon to swing. So being able to swing and then block with that Digimon means you can delete all of your opponent's Digimon that are less than either 13, 14, or 15,000 DP, whatever the DP of your Craniamon is out on the field. So that's why we're at 2, great for board control, especially if you don't see your Death Xmon. You can play this down and really control your opponent's board. Then an option card that works really well with Waltz End, Laplace's Demon. It has the main effect until the end of your opponent's turn. One of your opponent's Digimon gains start of your main phase, this Digimon attacks. So as mentioned before, making one of your Digimon attack, you can go ahead and block with your Craniamon and delete that Digimon. So if you do have 2 Digimon out on the field, if 2 opponents' Digimon are out on the field, and you do end up using this on one of them is going to go ahead and swing. And if you have a tie on the field, your Craniamon is going to block the first attack. Tie is going to suspend to unsuspend your Craniamon. And then at the end of turn, your Craniamon is going to force that other Digimon to swing, so you can block that other Digimon and deleting 2 Digimon on your opponent's turn. So a very useful attack. And then also this works really well, as mentioned, with Waltz End. So if you do play this down, make one of your opponent's Digimon swing, and if they have a large board, play this down so that at the start of their main phase, they can't do any shenanigans or anything like that to stop this from happening, and they end up deleting their whole board. So really good effect. That's why we run it at 2. And that is the same effect that Sephirothmon has. And now onto the final option card. I run 3 of the final Zubagon Punch from BT4. It has the main effect, one of your Digimon gains 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. Then, if that Digimon has 16,000 DP or more, this Digimon gains blocker, reboot, and security attack +1 until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this allows to swing for extra security, and also ensuring that your Craniamon does have blocker if you somehow do not have does have a reboot if you somehow do not have a reboot on your Craniamon, and also getting those extra checks. As mentioned before, this deck does struggle with taking out your opponent's security, so it does take quite some time to whittle them down, but this does help. And also making your Craniamon a huge body on your opponent's turn making it nearly impossible for them to swing over. So that's why I run it at 3. But overall, this is a very straightforward deck to pilot and to play. And if you take the Death X Mon out, it is also a very, very cheap deck to get into, and also a fun deck to play. So I definitely do recommend it. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I should add or take out. And I will see you in the next one.